Hello, welcome to January 30th, 2023. It's a Monday. My name is Kurt, and this is my daily Good Life meditation video, an exercise that I do each and every morning shortly after waking up. It's now 4:42 a.m., so I'm running about 10 minutes behind. I slept in again. I do this every day in order to do three things. First, to think about the last 24 hours and how I did handling the challenges and opportunities, namely with regard to the second activity, the Good Life Creed, which is my personal set of objectives and principles that I use to live a better life. And I'll recount each of those in turn, categorically, and describe them and tinker with them. The third and final thing that I'll do in this video is I'll plan for the coming day. I'll think about what opportunities and challenges might lie ahead in the next 24 hours and how I might best address those. Okay, let's begin. First, last night and yesterday. I slept really good last night. Just bam, I was in bed and lights out. Next thing I know, the alarm went off at 4 a.m. and I slept in for 10 minutes even. I turned it off because I had the day off. I'm on vacation, so why not sleep in a little bit? So yeah, that's what I did. It feels good. I'm not going to make that a habit though. Sleeping in, I'll have plenty of time to sleep in after I'm dead, as they say. I have lots of things to do, and I'm going to add that to the exercise this morning. In part 3, I'm going to make my little list. Other than that, the yesterday's challenges and opportunities, I simply, as I just described, I made my list and fired through. The only thing that I didn't do yesterday, here's my list from yesterday, all the things I wanted to do. The only thing that I didn't get a scratch on is to read a chapter of a book. Darn it, I did everything else. I started off the new year with a requirement that I would read one chapter of a book every day. And I didn't do that. I did read about 3 or 4 pages of one book. Well, I guess that counts. I'm reading this book right now, My Life with Debbie, which doesn't have chapters. Yeah, well, I guess then there you go. There's no way I could read a chapter. The whole book is a chapter. So I read about 3 or 4 pages, which I guess that'll count. Maybe I should give myself some numerical quantity to say in a book like this how many pages would constitute a chapter. And it varies by books, right? Some books are deep, what they call writerly reading, where the reader has to almost write alongside the author to compose it. I mean, reading a lot of Thoreau is like that, Seneca is like that, Epictetus, a lot of philosophies like that. And then there's readerly writing, where you can just kind of put your critical faculties on the shelf and just enjoy. I guess it depends on what kind of book I'm reading. But a chapter is a chapter in most books, right? All right, let's carry on. Let's do the creed first. And does it seem like I'm excited? Oh, worked up? I am. It's almost time to go to Japan, and I've almost got everything together. Oh, I worked hard yesterday, lingering on yesterday just a little bit more. I was arranging our trip in terms of the houses that we want to see, and what I had set out to do was I was going to make maps, because most of the houses that I had seen on the real estate listings didn't include addresses. So I couldn't just stick them in the navigation app and drive there. So I was doing it the old-fashioned way, and I was preparing to print maps. I was literally going to print paper maps. I even had the printer all set up, and I was going to go buy toner for it so I could get the appropriate colors in there. And then all of a sudden, while I was starting to do the driving directions and plugging in from a point that I knew I could get to the point of the house, because this only works, well, I'll get to that. I realized when I did that the Google Maps app, lo and behold, told me the address of the house. So there you go. Now I don't need the map. I can just plug it into my navigation system. Huge helpful thing. Then I needed to find the house, because this will only work if I can find the house. And again, the listings typically don't include the explicit address. They just contain maybe a rough idea. Typically they'll describe within 3 minutes driving of some train station. So if I can find that train station and kind of zoom out on Google Earth and kind of imagine a 3-minute drive, that's my circle of out, and hope that it's accurate. I've been able to find 9 out of 10 of the houses that I've looked for so far on average. So I'm very good success rate, but it takes a lot of work. So yesterday I was doing that with all the houses that I wanted to find, and organizing the houses in terms of what made sense. So if there's the map of the Izu Peninsula, we're going to arrive on the west coast it would be 3 days on the peninsula and finish on the east coast on day 3 of the journey. I wanted to arrange the houses in order so that they made sense, so that I'm not crossing the peninsula and coming back, but doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you know what I mean, right? Furthermore, these houses are mere waypoints along the way. They're guides to keep us moving. We don't have to see them. We're not meeting realtors in this case, so there's no obligation to do anything about it. They're just like, we're on our way there and we can stop along the way. If we see a nice onsen along the way, we can stop and enjoy the bath, or if we want to see if they're making broiled fish along the side of the road, we can stop and have broiled fish. They're like chapter guides. Yeah, that's not a good example because you do have to fill out the chapter. They're waypoints is what they are. So I was working on them, so I was finding them, and what I have to do then is to get them in there, and I don't want to have the paper, so I have to create a blog post to put all the details in there, including the address in English and Japanese, a hyperlink to the real estate listing itself, so we can go there if we want to. Let's say we wanted to call the realtor because they have the phone numbers. I needed all of that there. So it's a very detailed thing. There's the web page for the visit to Japan, which has the itinerary. There's the blog post for each of the houses that we want to see. And then from those posts, they have the addresses and photos, and then the link to the real estate listing. I was doing all of that yesterday, and I've almost completed the whole trip. I have just one more day, the last day to work on, and I'll have that done, and I'll do that today. So, you know that satisfaction that comes when you work really hard at something and work at it really good. That's what I'm feeling today. It feels very good to have done that so effectively yesterday. What else was there? Oh, there was one more piece I was going to say to that end. What was it? Oh, yeah. Then ordering them so they made sense. Yeah, that's it. I also wasn't going to go to the beach because I'd hurt my leg the day before, but then in the evening, my leg was feeling fine. So I said, to hell with it, and I drove to the beach, and I did my 2-mile run. I stretched a lot beforehand. I did 100 jumping jacks, double what I usually do, a whole bunch of push-ups, sit-ups, and then I just sat there in the cold wind coming down, watched the sun go down without even really drying off, just letting the lingering cold wind dry me off. I must have looked so cold and forlorn that a young high school age boy even came walking up the sands to ask me, "Aren't you cold?" And I told him, I said, "There's a deep warmth after the cold," which I realized after, and which seemed to satisfy him. He kind of gave a nod of approval. Afterwards, I realized there's something deep in that. Boing. Oh, well, I'll get to that. Let's do the creed. My first objective is to always be ready to die, to have everything in order, my affairs, my life affairs, my paperwork, my bank accounts, all of that stuff in order. My relationships, I'll call my mom today, and my life's work, in this case, my book, Going Alone. All that stuff square. 2 is to make good and effective use of my time so that I'm not wasting my days. Get up at 4 a.m., even on a day off. Come up with a list of things I'm going to do today and execute those things effectively. 3 is to develop and maintain good and sound life principles. That's these and objectives. That's what I'm doing right now. 4, to cultivate good emotional reactions, to become someone who doesn't let my emotions run away, who is in control. 5, to perform good actions, just to do good things throughout the day. 6, to recognize my true limits and my true opportunities so that I'm not attempting to reach for things beyond the cage. Arms through the cage, for the banana that I can't reach. I'll stick to the gruel that's in the bucket. Where did I come up with this? Picturing myself as some monkey in a cage. Which I don't like. I don't like that imagery because it suggests that there's some handler, right? Which I don't think is the case. It's just, I should probably say, reaching for the dangling fruit at the top of the tree that's beyond the reach of the tree limb that I'm on. That's a better way to say it. Maybe I can conspire a way up that other tree. Anyway, and then the last objective is to do just one thing at a time and do that thing slowly and deliberately and carefully, just like I'm doing right now. This is not natural. I work at this. I mean, it's natural at this point. I've been doing it so many years, but I am normally a much faster talker, and I'm more spontaneous and just almost spastic in a way. I have to work hard to control who I am. And by virtue of practice, it becomes second nature. I don't have to think about it so much anymore. This has become who I am as a result of hard work. Just like an athlete becomes fit by virtue of their hard work. That's not that higher level of physical fitness isn't natural. It comes by way of effort. Likewise, my ability to have self-control and to discipline my every action comes of practice and, again, self-control. No different. All right, now my 34 principles with a twist today. I'm adding a twist, and I will instantiate that twist into the book when I get a chance after I fire up the computer. I'll add that to my list. My first principle is war, to always be fighting against anything that I already believe and any new propositions of truth that are important. 2, reason, and the sub-principles of honesty, objectivity, doubt, and humiliation, which are the characteristics of the reasonable approach that I want to take on life. 3, the homunculus. I don't think I have a soul, but I do have a consciousness, and I label this thing the homunculus. 4, it's a funny word. Look it up. It's fun. 4, the anchor hold, another fun word worth looking up. The anchor hold is the place where my homunculus resides, a very unstable, precarious perch above the danger of death. There's more to it than that. Read my book. Boy, you're just explicitly hawking the book, aren't you? Well, I guess so. 5, purpose. Is that right? No. Home of good and evil. That's right, I got ahead of myself. Hawking the book, see? Confuses things. The home of good and evil, just like I don't believe I have a soul, nor do I think that there's any God and therefore no good and evil, right or wrong, that permeate the universe. Right and wrong are opinions that we hold in our minds, and we have to work hard to keep good ones. 6 is the atomic principle, purpose. Slipping up, huh? Purpose. I think I have 3 purpose in my life. First is to be a good husband and father. 2 is to be a virtuous man, where virtue is defined as efforts that seek after the improvement of the well-being of thinking creatures, namely making things happier, not at the expense of the well-being of other thinking creatures. And if I can avoid it, unthinking creatures too. 3 is the principle of whatever, or the purpose of that I choose for myself, which at this point in my life, now that my daughter's nearly grown, is to hawk my damn book. Okay, next is the atomic principle. Everything is made of bits and pieces, flowing and changing and forever transforming. So too you and me. Then the principle of nature. Everything and everyone has a particular nature. It's good to recognize what that is so that we can abide that, or at least understand it, and expect it, and deal with it. Then the pirate ride. The suggestion that free will is an illusion, a very convincing one, but an illusion nonetheless. And then maturity, and the sub-principles of wisdom, fortitude, and integrity. Maturity is that state we arrive at when we have the strength to avoid repeating our mistakes and to improve upon our successes. And then we can enjoy the resulting integrity of a life lived in better accord and balance with our values. Then comes the social principle. We are social creatures. We need each other. And the sub-principles here are diplomacy, justice, conspiracy. We work together as like diplomats to define our sense of justice and then conspire to make that happen. Then comes the principle of family, the hard and strong recommendation to form our own family at some point of life, to give ourselves purpose, a foundation, and also to serve as a catalyst for our better ends, social ends, in fact. Then comes the principle called public speaking, a recommendation towards improved communication, better listening and speaking skills, writing skills too. The sub-principles here are best words, cultivating a deep and rich vocabulary and using that vocabulary effectively, not in a flowery way, but in an effective way to get our point across. A prudence, the ability to filter our communication through our values. Felicity, seasoning our communication with our emotions. Eloquence, a characteristic that comes of modeling and practice. And then to avoid spreading rumors and engaging in gossip. And I had a juicy rumor that came my way 2 days ago, and it was so tempting to spread that along to those who would find it interesting, but I resisted it outright. Good job. I'm proud of myself. I'll admit, though, it was hard. Temperance is next. The ability to control our consumption of all things. Life will not go well, and it won't. Things are going to happen, rough things along the way. Yumiko and I yesterday were out for lunch, and we were wearing our masks, and we were going to take the food home. But it turned out to be, we got soup in a bread bowl, which doesn't say very well taking that home. So we ended up eating at the restaurant, and I was thinking to myself, this is a risk. We might get COVID and cancel our trip, but we took the risk. The horror show. Life just doesn't sometimes go poorly, it goes awful, and to be expected. To ready myself for the horror that's coming. Next comes, oh, did I forget one? No, not yet, I haven't got to it yet. After the horror show comes, the Feast of Offal. It's what happens when we get upset and we blow our upset out into the world and contaminate others. Likewise, when people are doing the same and we consume that upset. There was a guy yesterday, or it was Saturday, we were at the line at the supermarket, and Yumiko was shopping, and I was sitting in the car. I was bothering her, just following her like a puppy dog, so she'd go wait in the car. So I was waiting in the car, and there was a guy that was blowing his top in the parking lot because it was crowded and he couldn't find a place to park. And I caught myself, eating it up. That kind of voyeuristic watching of someone else having upset. And I caught myself. I was like, stop that, Kurt. Don't do that. I mean, couldn't help but watch, but don't eat it up. This is a moment of pain. And there's nothing I could do about it. But I wasn't going to eat it like popcorn in a movie theater. Okay. Next, moving on is distraction. It's something that we do to keep ourselves busy so that we don't have to see the next principle, the great indifference, the universe without God. Apprehending that God doesn't exist is something that can be done by going alone. It's why the cover of my book shows an empty desert scene. Go into the desert moonscape, the Bristol Mountains north of Siberia ghost town, and see the emptiness out there for yourself. We distract ourselves. We don't go to places like that. In fact, we keep ourselves busy with our hobbies and our sports and our work and our school and our families and our politics and our religion and our God. It keeps us all the livelong day busy. We don't have to see that we are alone. We have only one another, and all the responsibility and weight is on our shoulders. It's an awful thing to apprehend, and it's still harder, more to overcome and carry. It's a lifelong burden. Next comes the best seat in the house. To be all right with who I am and where I am and what I'm doing right here, right now, right who. All the while striving for better. Excuse me. Next comes the restless man. That sense that we feel that, boy, we want to have some adventure in life. Better do it. Then the path of wildness is what happens when we step upon the route towards that adventure, the segue from one life circumstance to another. The great life adventure is the yield that comes of that effort of stepping upon the path of wildness and having that experience. And then finally, the risk of avoiding risk, the consequence of going too far one way or the other, too much adventure or not enough. And there is a risk that you will miss out on the balance, which is a true and honest risk, full of consequence, going one or the other. But here's where I'm going to add something new, and I'm going to add it to the book today as well. I want to say that if you're going to go one way or the other, overboard on adventure or overboard on the safe and sane, that is namely education, career, home, family, and security, err on the side of that one. Err on the side of family, as I'm going to write in the book. Because that is where our first mandate is, our biological mandate, to reproduce, to make copies of ourselves through our genes, through having children. That's where that lies. And succeeding in that means that we need to be educated, have a good career, find someone to spend our life with, create a family, bear children, raise those children in a secure, safe environment, and save for our old age so that we're not a burden unto those kids. All of that is part and parcel of fulfilling our first mandate, which is, in fact, more important than the adventure. I'm just now realizing that. It's amazing that it took me this long to realize that. So for all of those that go overboard on that direction, good for you. You're probably heading in the right direction. That doesn't mean you can't find a balance. You can't have the adventure, and that it will give you the deeper satisfaction of a sense. But the deeper satisfaction still comes with family. Now, it doesn't mean it has to be that nuclear family route. It can be a lot of other ways. I would say another route could be being a good aunt or uncle, or being a good community society member, or being a good person within a circle of friends. You could even be a good fur daddy or fur mama, taking care of, like my friend Bo does, taking care of, in the Discord, taking care of suffering animals, or just rescuing a pet, whatever the case may be. There are lots of variations and gradations of this satisfying that deeper aim. The first and foremost, of course, the one that nature seems to push us towards, is helping to get children, our own or somebody else's, up and into the next generation. So, err on the side of family. Next is sin and damnation. There are 8 sins in my world related to believing things for bad reasons, being untrue, or spreading rumors or gossip. These are falsity, credulity, faith, superstition, dogma, authority, rumor, and gossip. Don't do those things. We'll wind up in damnation in the here and now. because being a damn liar, damn fool, or damn rumor-mongering gossip. The next principle is complete oblivion. Without a soul and without God, damnation awaits. Not damnation, oblivion awaits. Maybe damnation too if I'm wrong. Oblivion awaits. That means there'll be no final reunion with our loved ones. We'll never see them again. We won't have a chance to reconcile any difference. If you parted ways, if you died on bad terms with your Aunt Flo, sorry, you'll never have a chance to make up with her. But then you'll never see her again anyway, because neither of you will ever exist. So no loss anyway. And then there'll be no chance for final justice, because there is no afterlife and no God to met out justice. So Hitler gets away with his crimes, Anne Frank will never be avenged. Those things, justice only exists in the brief period of time of actual living. Complete oblivion awaits us all. Next comes the season of philosophy, which is a time to record our words as they come. That's why I keep pen and paper always handy, and a little writing board. Arena and utility. Life is an arena for the development of objectives and principles that we can utilize towards our better living ends. Uphill climb, a striving towards finishing today stronger and better than ever. Higher vista of viewpoint to see from the world, for all the fame worth that is. The bullseye aim, striving for the mark but usually missing, expecting that. I think I got that backwards. I was supposed to go, oh, and I forgot. Oh, gee, I'm just mixed up here at the end. It's just a whole scattering of principles. It should be, let me get this straightened out. The season of philosophy, the principle of script writing, forecasting the minutes, hours, and days ahead, the bullseye aim, expecting to miss the mark, the uphill climb, finishing the day stronger and better than yesterday, with diminishing returns as we get older. Arena and utility, developing the principles to utilize into the venue of life. Nothing is enough. A deeply satisfying principle that I have no idea what to do with. I love it to death, but I think I'm getting closer to it. It's like I was using it over the weekend as I wanted to add to my stuff, and I was like, nothing is enough. And I was just like, okay, here's the thing. There was one very particular one. I was like, okay, what do I want to do in Japan to be softypapa? Because I have a chance to go back and kind of pretend I'm softypapa again, right? Again, I need a camera, this, that. I was thinking of all the equipment, like I have all the equipment listing going alone. I was thinking, Kurt, you don't need anything other than just who you are. You don't even need a damn camera. Just be yourself and live your principles and seek after your objectives, and that's enough. Nothing is enough. Yeah, very satisfying. And then finally, the principle of fun. A reminder to have a good time today, now, and also to remember the good times of yesterday and plan for the good times of tomorrow. Yumiko and I were doing that yesterday as we were kind of thinking about the kinds of desserts we're going to enjoy when we get to Japan, planning that out. All right, so I've done the creed. Now the last part of what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do it for the first time in a slightly different way. This is the notepad that I usually keep for scratching notes up there. I'm turning the page on another day. Today's the 30th, so it's January 30th, 2023. So I'm going to plan out the day. What am I going to do today? And I'm going to plan out how I'm going to deal with it. I'm going to first, I'll read the Bible. I'm going to read Hosea chapter 3 today, and study it. Then I'm going to feed the dogs and let them out, or walk them if they want to, but it's usually too cold, they don't want to walk. They just go out in the yard while it's still dark. Then I will, I'll finish John's book, which I started last night, and pack it up. Then I will, catch up on email, my personal email, catch up on YouTube comments. Or I'll catch up. I'm a full year in. I've caught up on all my comments up to a year. It's been a very productive couple of days off. Been very ambitious. I'm going to do that every day. Email and comments all caught up. Then I should reach out to my accountant, but I'll wait till I get back from my trip. Oh yeah, read a chapter. I think I'll read the chapter of The Rambler and I'll record it too. Oh yeah, then I'll illustrate or sign another book. Wouldn't it be great if I could do all three of them today? Knock that out. Get to take them all to the post office and be done with that. That's too ambitious. And then I will do the mock packing. And Michael, if you see this, the mock packing that I'm doing isn't just kind of like just to do it. It's to make sure that we have enough room, because Yumiko and I don't have big suitcases. We bought a lot of gifts that we're bringing to Japan. So we need to make sure it all fits. And if it doesn't fit, I'm going to go buy another suitcase. That's why the mock packing, because you and I were talking about that yesterday. What else? Oh yeah, I got to go to the beach. Beach to run and swim. I think that's it. Oh, I would love to hang these pictures on the wall. Yeah, that's ambitious. I'm going to save that one. I'm not going to do that one today. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow. That'll be a bonus if I do that. So read the Bible, feed the dogs, finish John's book, catch up on email, catch up on YouTube comments, read a chapter, sign another book, do the mock packing. Yumiko did hers yesterday. I haven't done mine yet. And then beach and a swim. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's 9 items that I want to do today. And what am I going to do to have fun along the way? I'm going to listen to good music as I proceed. I've got this great sound system in my room here. I'll listen to that. I'll listen to some great music. Maybe listen to a couple of good podcast episodes. Maybe watch a little. I don't have anything to do. I'm on vacation. I can do whatever damn thing I want to do. In addition to all these things, I'm going to have fun. I'm going to have a fun time. I'm really going to enjoy going to the beach. I'm going to do push-ups and sit-ups. And it's so fun to do it on the sand. You get all gritty and sandy and then dive back in the water. The only thing I can't do is I can't run a lot after I've been in the water, because it kind of chafes the privates in the old swimsuit there. Yeah. Let's do the day. Be safe, but not too safe. And with that, my life is done, if not finished. See ya.